Moving forward.
Right now, a future president could be running as a local candidate on your ballot. This person is vying to represent you, your family, and your community. Do you know what they are and what they stand for? Vote411.org is your tool for accurate and unbiased, up-to-the-minute election information on the candidates running in local races. Just enter your address to get started. Your vote is your power, the power to decide who represents you in 2022 and beyond. Get online, get the facts, and make your voice heard on Election Day.
Moving forward.
All candidates all around?
Yes. So the whole thing is I'm doing the entire state of Hawaii from the beginning because there's not enough fair coverage of it. So I'm very like when I was a kid, I actually like wanted to get into AM broadcasting, but that was like right as they were deregulating the section of the FCC that handled radio. And then by the time that like I was old enough and educated enough to join IEEE, they looked at me and they're like, "Sorry, kid, but radio's dead." And I was like, then what do I do? And they're like,
Yeah.
"Pirate radio? Podcast?" And I was like, "Shoots." So
Okay, here you are. Right
yeah,
on.
so here I am because, so it's kind of a dream of mine is to bring back old fairness doctrine like radio and like news broadcasting because there's too much editorial in the day-to-day. Like, I like the Sunday op-ed, but I don't like every day be Sunday.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's great though. It's great that you're presenting everybody so people can just make up their minds, you know?
Yes, and we find at the end of the day that like a lot of the conversations are the same. And then the other thing is not many people realize how much like local politics is nonpartisan. So I like talking with local politicians because then they can talk about things and then they go, "Oh, I thought he was one Republican, but he says things I say," or "She seemed kind of like she was Democrat, but she said that." And it's like we're a small community, you know. These islands, like, you cannot live on Republican, Democrat, Green Party, Independent, whatever, because we have finite space. You know, so many people. At the end of the day, we all gonna learn about each other. So like, we all have to put up with each other, live with each other. You know, so like throwing away that partisan thing's all about my jam right there.
It's funny. You don't even need me to talk. You just say that. That's exactly how I feel. You know, it's so true because, you know, like you say, we're all on the island together.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And they want us to fight with each other over party lines, you know, and draw lines and divide over that because, you know, it's easier to call it. United we stand. You know, divided we fall.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing here is I had the Republican Party there, kind of, you know, oh, great, you know, they liked what I said, and they wanted to support me, and I go, great, you know, are you Republican? I go, no. I go, I agree with you guys, I agree with you, but I go, but if we make this a you know, if I say I'm Republican, I just lose. I right there shot myself in the foot. I lose the election.
Yep. Well, I 100% get you, you know, because like I grew up in a Republican family and then it went a little Democrat because of like the way the voting style. And then as I watched my grandparents vote, and from time to time my uncle would switch party lines and be like, "Uncle, why you do that?" He's like, "I don't like any of these guys. I go check the other side for a while." And so then it really taught me that like in order for Hawaii to survive mainland politics is that we need to inject a little of that like local tribal culture into how we live with each other, and we have to be able to
Mhm.
pass the stick whether we like it or not, and let the guy speak, and they go, "Hey, I like your idea," "Hey, I don't like him," you know.
Yeah,
And then just you got your time, you got your space. Maybe we vote you in once, maybe you incumbent, but only time will tell. And as long as we give everybody the chance to speak up, there's an opportunity for change.
exactly. And it's been controlled by the Democrats too long. And like I said, that's how it has been, and they've been in power, and everybody here is Democrat, and they don't even know why. But
I agree with that. As someone who had a fair amount of his life spent traveling abroad with military family, and spending the vast majority of my life on the mainland, it really struck me as odd, like in the returning home of like the lack of civic education, to where it's very Rust Belt politics out here.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
you have people that are, I mean, and just like the Rust Belt, it's like being in Arkansas sometimes, I feel, because the only thing that gets information around is the radio. Like half the people don't even have cable, and that's whether it's because the big cable companies are fighting for that 10 acres of freaking homestead land to get their internet through, or it's just that nobody no care about the 5 people who live on like the
yeah,
like deadly side of the poly, you know?
yeah,
So there's a lot of people that are just left out in the corners of like just the whole monkey sphere of society. There's just like this anthropological disconnect from each other because we don't see enough of each other if we get stuck up in our own thing of country, because some of us like hide like the Grinch and never come down the hill, and then some of us, we spend a lot of time mixing in, but we never change who we mix with. So we hold to these ideas because we have an echo chamber.
right, yeah, 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 yeah. We gotta get over that, and that's the thing. As I'm trying to unite people here in the island, and just it doesn't matter what we are. We all live together. We all got to get along. And too many times it just draws a wedge between us.
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff. And the funny thing is, in Kauai, it's really not like that. It's just like the politics is trying to force that. I mean,
Yes.
the last couple of years they've been just on an onslaught of it. Um, and people are buying into it, and some aren't. So it's a tricky situation. As I say, I'm not going to bring up any. Like I said, I'm nonpartisan.
Mm-hmm.
A mayor represents Democrats. He represents Republicans. He represents gay people. He represents Christians. He represents everybody on the island. So,
Dig
and I
it.
never, I've been through a hurricane here and some serious natural disasters, and never did like you go, oh, well, you need your roof fixed. What are you, Democrat? I mean, nobody. That's how you react. You don't respond to helping somebody because if they're the same party line. You just do.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? We got so much good talk story going on. I'm going to have to keep some of this for the show. So, you
Yeah.
know what? Let's get right into the thick of it. For those that can't tell who's talking to me right now, can you tell them who you are and what you're running for, bro?
Yeah, my name is Mitch McPeek. I'm on the island of Kauai, and I'm running for mayor here.
Right on.
Yeah.
So, in relation to how the islands work together, and the county operates, what is the duties of Kauai mayor?
Well, the duties of the mayor are basically he's the chief executive officer. Okay, so his role is to execute and enforce the laws of the land. The reason why I'm running, because I don't see that happening right now. I see good laws, anti-discrimination laws, that are not being enforced and not being upheld. I see people's civil rights, their freedoms, their liberties not being enforced, not being held. And I see stupid mandates, which are not laws. I see those being executed. So it's reversed right now. And it's a simple matter of somebody stepping in and just doing the job that the mayor does. He's supposed to do. He's in charge to enforce laws, and you don't enforce things that are not laws. and to really set the people straight on this and educate them, because we had a sign over here right outside the airport, and it says, "Put your mask on. It's the law." And so everybody's running around the island here thinking that that's a law, and it's not. It's a mandate.
And you know,
so
I'm going to stop you
people-
right there because I think that that's where a lot of the negative energy around that, you know, the mask, anti-mask, vax, anti-vax crowd started is a lot of it that it got pushy from the get. I think that already as a society we would kind of hit this bubble point and everybody been, you know, for the lack of a better term from a guy like me, everybody's been pissing in the same pot and finally it's flowing over. So now when you get one problem, it's all the problems at the same time, you know?
Yep.
So then, you know, when it comes around and the wrong person in the bureaucracy gets the ability to make one sign, or someone, you know, who hasn't been fully educated on the matter gets to enact something, then that sends the wrong message. You know, I think that there probably would have been a lot more people be like, "Oh, okay, I don't understand the science, but you said put them on. Okay, I know. You save the world. Let's put them on." You know, but then when you're like, "Put them on now, or we send you to jail," and it's like, "Bah, I just trying to live," and it's like, you know, so we reached this like percolated point with the pandemic where we proved like people aren't paying attention half the time, and then they're not. I mean, it goes back to your like, are they paying attention to enforce what's really a law, or are they following what's right in their hearts, but they're not executing it correctly, you know?
Yeah, and whether it's ignorance or apathy, whatever it is, that's one of my platforms, is to educate the people about this. And I just don't like being lied to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the telling, you know, that this is how it is and intimidated and this is what it's going to be, because it's not. See, this is all just their agenda they're pushing on us. You know, I personally, hey, you want to stick poison in your arm, you go right ahead. If you don't want to, you go right ahead. We have the freedom of choice, and they're taking that away from us. And as mayor, you know, you come in and you say, no, this is the law said you cannot discriminate against this. You cannot do this. These people have the freedom of choice, and that's the main thing. You know, we have laws protecting that, and we have a constitution protecting that. And once you're familiar with the Constitution, the state and the U.S. Constitution, you start to realize these people have no power. They only have intimidation. And so what they do is they try to they lie to us. They say it's the law. It's never been passed as a law, you know. And I really don't like the way we're treated here. That's why I'm running for mayor, because I don't like the way I've been treated the last couple of years. I don't like the way they've treated any of us.
Well, you know, I think that's kind of that's a tough area because, you know, I think this is probably the most ill-equipped living generation for something as trying as a pandemic. I just think that our toolkit wasn't ready for it. I mean, we've kind of been 23 years at war, you know, and then that's only if you count break space between, you know, the rumblings that led up to 9/11 and then and Desert Storm. So, I mean, out of all technicality, we really haven't stopped since like Vietnam. But I mean, America has not really like had a chance to breathe. So I feel that when something like this came up, whether left or right on the matter, everybody was exhausted. So then when nobody had solutions and nobody liked the people who had the solutions or how they said the solutions, that we all just lost it.
Well, you know, I see what you're saying here, you know, but the bigger picture is there's a narrative, there's an agenda, there's a globalistic movement that's been planning, and this is the plan thing. It's been going on forever.
Really?
And when you start really understanding what's happening, more so we need to stand up for ourselves. And I will disagree with you in the fact that we weren't prepared for this. We were absolutely prepared for this. And
How?
It's called the U.S. Constitution.
No, well, outside of the Constitution, but how? I mean, we've deregulated most of our infrastructure industries. We put about 80%, well, no, pre-pandemic, we were at nearly 80% load of our entire tax economy into the Department of Defense. Now we're like closer to 60, but like, I mean, outside of throwing good food away every day, we weren't really like, we weren't prepared as a people. I mean, we've wasted a lot of time on fighting over the wrong squabbles on education, and then fighting on the wrong squabbles of like, you know, like let's just eat the rich, and it's like, well, how about we just hold the rich accountable and then teach working class people how to be accountable too, but like without bootstrapping each other, you know?
Yeah, and I guess we did muddle through it to some degree, and I can go that to that extent. But moving forward, we see now locking down people is not the way to do it. We see that putting a mask on our kids. Why are the kids still wearing masks? This is what gets me. Okay, why are we still putting diapers on their faces? This is absolutely ridiculous. We're the only place in the whole world that's doing this.
Actually, there's about 30 other countries that are already back on pandemic lockdowns. They're starting to shut down pieces of Korea and China. And it's literally because there's outbreaks and people are dying again, though.
Well, that's, like you said, if you see the bigger picture, it's about control and stuff. And that's what I'm saying is we have to band together, on this island and fight that and take the masks off our kids. The day I'm elected, I'm making no promises, these big political promises, because I'm not a politician. But the day I get in office, those masks comes off those kids. And that's like, these are daily. We can't solve the world's problems. Okay. We're not.
Yeah,
not
but
gonna,
I mean, isn't it fair to say that realistically by just virus by the numbers and how something like this takes its time in comparison to historical numbers before, by the time that you could take office, those masks will probably be gone?
Well, it probably will be now that the information's out. My competitors going, oh, the people don't want the masks, and I get a vote. Like I said, this is a very local thing. Kauai is really a local. We're ohana here. We're all family, and we can take care of ourselves if just guided right. We don't, the bigger picture is scary. I'm not going to be able to bring the gas of price down to $2 a gallon, but we do have control of our island. We have control of say over here. We have control to say, no, we don't lock down. Yes, we can go to work. I'm talking the everyday to-day things of the people. We can sit here and talk politics all we want about the high, top of the politics. I'm talking about what I'm about is the day-to-day things. I'm a normal guy. I get up and I go to work. Yeah. I'm a blue collar. I've always worked. I have children born and raised here. I have 5 grandchildren. I'm like the people here. I am of the people, okay? Mm-hmm. And so I know what it takes here to raise a person here. I know what the spirit of Kauai is. I've lived here forever. I get it. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And people don't want to hear about all that other high-end stuff, the top stuff, where it's coming from. They want to know, how is my life going to get better? How is my day-to-day, issues going to be changed?
Well, isn't that a systemic question, though?
Pardon me?
Isn't that a systemic question, though?
Well, yeah, but like I'm saying, we can only control what we can control, and that's our island. And the system is what it is, but we have an autonomy here. We have local rule.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody had local rule.
I mean, we don't have to follow mandates.
Yeah.
And you see, Ige. Last November 2021, he even gave the powers back to the counties, to the mayors, which, we have the power anyways, but he gave it back to say the mayors can do what they want according to this pandemic, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Our mayor's done nothing. Okay. So we have the power to do that. So the mayor can step up and go, okay, this is how we're going to do it. Next time it happens, we have to look forward. Okay. We can look back and say who did right, who did wrong, all we want. Looking forward, we go, well, they didn't work in the past. Lockdowns don't work. The average person here, where you got people losing their jobs, they're freaking out. They can't pay their bill because
they couldn't pay their bills because their average American doesn't have any equity right now. So I mean, if we were to look at that from a perspective, if we locked down even in the 70s, we probably would have survived a year and a half without people worried about whether or not they could pay their rent. And because that was a whole different economy. I mean, we got picked apart in the last 6 years. I mean, it was already falling down by the early 2000s, and then going to war again really didn't help with that. And, and then we had a rough 4-year patch of someone who didn't understand tax policy. So I think that there was, there just wasn't anything infrastructurally in place, and I go back to the point of because that infrastructure, psychologically, the society wasn't capable of it. I mean, at the last referential point we have for a real lockdown would have to be, the Spanish flu, because, the last time we had even the avian flu scare in the 2008, 2009 era, the rest of the world was masking up, but America felt safe enough to go, we're fine, and I was actually working concierge for Disney at the time, and I saw thousands upon thousands of people coming from the east, and they went, sure, okay, we mask up, if you want us to allow us to travel. And at the time, America was like, cool, you know what, we're gonna let these people still travel, and we'll see what it does. And so it really, like, I'd have to say that, like, even in the response since then, because it really stuck out with me enough to where it sits pretty well placed in my memory, because I had to cater to those people a lot as a concierge. So it was very interesting to me from the Eastern aspect of, like, a people that had already known for, hundreds, I mean, scenarios before this, that it was just a common practice of, like, okay, this is sixth season, we do something about sixth season, and so, and that's where, like, I'm kind of confused on the whole fact of just, like, people being shocked that something like this could happen on a scale like this. I think there's a lot of dissonance in the sense of just, like, even how our bodies work now in the 21st century, because people aren't educated enough to understand that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk more about the local politics, but
yeah, I know, but and that's the thing is, like, we just kind of went in there with your whole talk on autonomy, and it brought itself there. But so then let's get down local. We talk enough about the world, bro, and I like the way you spit it, and you got a lot of fire. So then, where's the fire for Kauai? Let's put aside all of these things that the rest of the world squabbles about, and let's talk story about what you're going to do for Kauai.
Okay, like I said, I'm not a politician, so I'm not going to just stand up here and make a bunch of promises. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you what I stand for and how I will react in certain situations. Okay, first of all, we need, on this island specifically, we need to protect our keikis' inheritance. Okay, right now we have super wealthy people buying up all the places here. They're coming in, they're getting preferential treatment to do whatever they want. Okay, they're donating large sums of money to the mayor's administration for programs and things.
Mm-hmm.
You can read between the lines.
Oh yeah, that's good old fashioned corporate lobbying.
Yeah, and and we got tourists that are they're running and overrunning our island. To be honest with you, and now don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-tourist. I am pro Kauai. Yeah, I'm for Kauai and Kauaians, and I want to put Kauai first. They use all our parks, they use all our roads, they use everything, and we pay for it. We can't go to the beach, we can't get a parking spot, we can't even go out to eat because there's a line like you can't believe. I can't go to Foodland without a 45-minute wait in line. It's ridiculous here. This island is being ruined. Our quality of life is ruined, and we need to do something drastically to protect our keikis' inheritance. And that's of utmost importance. The attitude here, which really kind of upsets me, is we have so many natural disasters here. Okay, yeah, more than probably any other island has. I have lived through several of them, and including a hurricane in Niki, which is amazing. And when you live here and you experience that, you see the spirit of Kauai. Okay, it's like nowhere else. And we were okay without the tourists. We helped each other. You know what I mean? The spirit of Kauai. Why do all of a sudden the businesses now forget the locals? Oh, it's all for the tourists. The malihini is the malihini money, and it's like, how come they forgot that? We're taking a back seat in our island to the tourists and the wealthy. And like I said, I get elected, we'll be doing the driving. Kauai first. The tourists are going to come. There is nothing that kept the tourists from coming here. Nothing. I mean, as soon as the doors were open, the pandemic, we have seen more tourists than we've ever seen in our life. And I'm not bagging just about the tourists, but this is an issue we need to address. There's no homes here on the island. This is the most expensive island in the whole state. Mm-hmm. It's like, I live in a very, very, very modest town with just us local guys. $1 million for a home. You would look at this and you would laugh. This is ridiculous. Nobody, if you can even find a home to rent, you'll pay whatever you can. These are the issues that need to be dealt with. See, this is the local politics. This is what people care about. Okay. And they don't care. They care about the day-to-day thing. Where are my kids going to live? Where are my grandkids? I got 5 grandkids, where are they going to live? Yes. These are the issues that are really important.
So in response to that, then, are there any Have you been looking at any of the old programs that need to be readjusted or some of the crony politics and where it's obvious? I mean, because I really think that one of the biggest things that holds back Hawaii in general is we have this shell game of developers saying, oh, I developed one $5 million home, but I got to make one of these $500,000 homes for you. Well, what if I just make one I owe you credit? And then the next thing you know, we got 30, $45 million homes, and then nobody got any affordable homes, and we were
Yes,
driving up the housing economy for it. It's unnecessary sugar high in the housing market.
that's how this kind of stuff works, And right now, sitting in on my couch right now, I don't have all that information, and I can't honestly go accuse anybody of anything. But when you're in the mayor's office, you can investigate this stuff, and you can find out, hey, how come that agreement wasn't met? How come you get to build that and he doesn't? See, so that's the beautiful thing about being a mayor. You actually can do stuff like this, and have the information that you need to form an opinion and find out facts. The other stuff is hearsay, and until
But you can.
that's the thing about mayors.
But you can get a Freedom of Information Act request from your local. But like my question is like, why wouldn't you just go get this from your records department? Like every county has a records division. Your city secretary. Like I worked in a secretary's office in California as a kid, civil servant. I put in my time. I didn't want to catch bullets, so my grandfather said, "Go work for the government and learn how it works." So I mean, that's the thing is like you want to know this by the numbers. There's reporting offices that are impartial because they work strictly for the mayor's office to produce those numbers, whether the mayor likes them or not.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, see, I'm learning something now.
Yeah, there we go. Good trade. Good trade.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that'll be something that needs to be. I should be looking into. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because this is, like you said, this is the important stuff on the island.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no land, there's no homes, there's nothing for sale here, even if you could afford something.
Nail on the head on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how it's in other islands, but I know this island is going nuts.
Well, all of them are. It's been slowly percolating for some time, but I mean, it's kind of been the case since the post-colonial days into statehood. I mean, I know your story because it was my great tutu story. I mean, my grandmother grew up on land in the Pili that was Kuleana land given from Ali'i straight to my great grandmother, and all through the era of statehood and transition, every day a real estate developer would come by. One guy who wanted to open one grocery store and put in something over there or try to build houses or anything, and she'd say no, and she'd say no, and then one day the jobs dried up. More, plantation workers came in. The old school equivalent of our modern woofer showed up and brought the workforce, down with it. So now you have a false economy of a non-living wage because you have a majority slave force of labor that proves a unreal statistic to the employment base. And so, with that, that whole side of Napili suffered. And, my great grandmother's tale wasn't the only one. She sold an acre at a time for a week's worth of groceries until there's only what is left today of my family's land. And I will have to say that, it's disheartening to hear that this is, we're about to go back into it again. History is about to repeat itself again if we do not stop ourselves.
Yeah, that's the tragedy of the history of the state here. And I think you explained it very well. We're going to go through it again, just disguised a little bit differently.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the hard lesson of this new age. I think that's why we've officially, we've moved into the Anthropocene epoch, as they call it, because it is anthropologically our fault now. Like there's no more, nature no longer has a say, for we are now large enough and consuming enough space and priority on this planet. And so, it's kind of a tough thing to tackle now that like we can turn around any minute and see history repeating itself and in not the best ways. But enough about that. Let's see. Anything else really sticking out for you as far as what the people of Kauai need to hear from you?
Well, that just basically that I am here for them. I'm here for their rights. Like I said, nobody's running for mayor, and there's a need for somebody to stand up against what's coming down. There's going to be more stuff coming down, and I'm like, see a need, fill a need.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love this place. This is my home. It's given me a great life here. I just had just a wonderful, amazing life. And I want to give back because I see we need to protect this. This is something that we need to fight for. Our rights are being trampled on. They're slowly taking everything from us, and nobody's standing up. People have the same sentiments as I do, but where's the leader? Where's the person that's going to stand up and represent them? And I'll do that. I don't care. I'll stand up to him and say no. I mean, that's the first words we learned as a kid, right? No. We forgot it already. You know, whatever you say, no, we don't have to do that. We can go to work. We don't have to lock down. We can continue our life, and we can control our environment, our island here. We can control tourism. We can control all this stuff that's going on. We can do it. We, the people, have the power. Mm-hmm. You know? And I really want to say that all the rights that we get given in the Constitution are God-given rights. They're from the Lord God Almighty. This is not something that the Constitution or people have given us. This is stuff that God has given every man on earth, just for being born. Fortunately, we had a country that recognized that and had a nation under God and developed this and created this.
That wasn't until 1955.
That is based on godly principles, which means, and I stand on the word of God. So that means I stand for individual freedoms, individual rights, and that is what makes a strong community. Mm-hmm. That's what makes a strong society, is the right of the individual, that we have freedom of choice. We have the free will to choose whatever we want for our families, whether it be right or wrong. You can wear a mask in public if you want. You don't have to wear a mask in public. It doesn't matter. It's a freedom choice. And that's what a lot of these politicians that are in government now, they don't seem to get that, and I want to instill from the top down, is from the mayor's office down, that we are public servants, which means we serve the public.
Yes.
Every official, every government employee is a public servant. And if they don't get that, they're in the wrong business. And I want to start from the mayor's office down, the whole place. So we're public servants. You don't like us, fire us. They have the power. We, the people, have the power, not the governor. And that comes with education. And I want to, I really want to develop and start programs to educating people, youngsters in schools, adults, anybody in our Constitution and in these rights, so that this stuff doesn't go down. So what we saw the last couple of years doesn't continue to happen.
Right on. So, I gave you a little extra time so that way, because we got a little lost on the worldly stuff. But before we wrap up here, can I talk to you again in about a month and catch up and see how Kauai's doing?
Absolutely, Kawika.
Oh,
absolutely.
Shoot, it's good to hear, Mitch. Hey, man.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
For having me on. This was a real pleasure and this was great. Thank you, Kawika.
Oh, yeah. I love a good spirited discussion, and that's exactly what we want to give people here, because, we got to be able to provide enough excitement for people to know what's what and what's going on. Maybe someone can represent their ideas, and maybe other people can introduce new mana'o. So I thank you for taking that time, Mitch.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So before you go, can you please tell us how to get in touch with you, how to help your campaign, people on Kauai, how they come together to support Mitch running?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a website, Mitch for Mayor, 4, mitchformayor.org. The website is still under construction. I'm really new into this. I just filed papers a while ago, so this is all up and coming.
Right on. Well, then thanks for coming on so soon, brah.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. You got any social media or any other pages we can check you out on?
Like I said, that's all coming up. And type in Mitch for Mayor. That's what I'm trying to get everything. I've got some people now that are working for me that are going to be doing this. And like I said, being new, but keep your eyes out, especially in a month. I'll have all this up and running, and you can find out more about me and more about how my mana'o on the local environment here, local politics and stuff. And I appreciate you guys' support. And thanks for listening.
Oh, mahalo for having something to say. Thank you, Mitch.
Always. I've never been accused of not having something to say.
That's a good way to close
laughing
them,
at
bro.
a curse, you know. So,
Yeah. Hey, well, if you can't talk story, nobody's gonna give you the time, bro.
exactly. Right on.
So thanks
Right
for
on.
talking story. You
Thanks,
have a
Kawika.
wonderful day, bro. Aloha.
Goodbye.
Rabbit Holes is a Manava Cow production. This episode was produced by Kawika Hoke and Sarah Rodriguez. Make sure to subscribe and follow on your favorite podcast platforms to add our weekly episodes to your queue.